Honey Rose, I think you're confused about today. I know that you thought you could look for your shadow. Today is Groundhog Day. You're right, Honey Rose, but it's, listen to me closely, Groundhog Day. Honey, you're not a groundhog. You're a golden retriever. I think you're thinking of tomorrow, because tomorrow is International Golden Retriever Day. Well, either way, let's say you were a groundhog, Honey Rose. It's really gray outside today, which means there's no sun, which means, guess what? There's no shadow, Honey Rose. But thanks for trying to help us out today. Well, as long as we're out here, Honey Rose, I suppose you could get a little exercise. Yep. Thanks, Honey Rose. Oh, wait a minute. Did you get it? I don't think you quite got it yet, Honey Rose. Oh, there it is. You want to play more, don't you? Okay, go get it, Honey Rose. Oh, here she comes. Here she comes. Good job, Honey Rose. Wait a minute, what are you doing? Oh my goodness. Sorry about that, fourth graders. Honey Rose, I think, feels a little embarrassed too, but you know, that's kind of what dogs do. Anyway, it looks like she has a story for us. Honey Rose, did you make up a story for the kids to try? You know, they were practicing with context clues and trying to use their inference to figure out things that are in a story. It looks like you have your own story that goes along with Groundhog's Day. Well, it looks like Honey Rose made a story kind of like yesterday's. We had context clues to infer meaning from text that includes nonsense words. So Honey Rose made up her own story, Honey Rose and Groundhog Day, even though she's not a groundhog or even a ground dog day. She got a little confused, and that's okay. But we're going to use these context clues to try to infer meaning again. Remember, infer meaning means like to understand from the clues in the text. We're going to try to infer meaning or understand that text, and it includes, again, some nonsense words. Oh, there's some dark, bold print words that look like they're make-believe nonsense words. Oh, wait a minute. One looks familiar to yesterday's, the rat loves spring. But it's still a nonsense word. It's a make-believe word. Now, part of this story you just saw because Honey Rose is outside trying to see her shadow. But some of it is from when the camera was off. And so there might be some things in the story that you don't recognize or remember from just watching it a little bit ago. So let's read. Honey Rose was confused about Groundhog Day today. She thought that she could look for her own flippity-flap. What? According to legend, if the groundhog does not see its flippity-flap, then spring is coming soon. However, if the groundhog does see its flippity-flap, then we will have 6 more weeks of winter. I think Honey Rose is thinking about February 3rd, which is International Golden Retriever Day. It actually is February 3rd, International Golden Retriever Day. So instead of looking for her flippity-flap, she shaloped as fast as she could around in the snow. Then she chased a grayling up a tree. She yippity-yapped so loud the neighbors thought something was wrong. Before coming back inside, she stopped to, oh boy, padoodle in the snow. Really, Honey Rose? So are you still embarrassed a little bit, Honey Rose? Do you want to apologize to the fourth graders? I don't think there's any apology coming soon. She's going from feeling embarrassed to being a little bit agitated, I think. Well, we'll let it go for today, Honey Rose. Maybe next time you can excuse yourself and go around a tree or something. That'd be nice. All right, well, we're going to continue on in your story and see what we can figure out, what we can infer. So we know that these words are not real words. Flippity-flap, shaloped, grayling, yippity-yapped, padoodle. But even with nonsense words, we talked about this yesterday, you can actually understand stories with words that you don't completely know. Let's say that this was a real word, flippity-flap, and you just don't have any idea what it means. You can use the context of the sentences and the context of the story to infer meaning. You can still understand pretty much what's going on and even come up with some ideas about what that word could mean. So even if it was a real word, but just a really hard word, then there's ways of understanding the story. So flippity-flap, we have to figure out what can we substitute in place of flippity-flap. What word do we know that means the same idea if we were to put it in this sentence? She thought that she could look for her own flippity-flap. Well, if we know about Groundhog Day today, if you know about that, that's background knowledge. You're going to use your background knowledge about Groundhog Day to help you figure out if she could look for her own, oh, I know what Groundhog Day is about. She's going to look for her own flippity-flap. I know what that's probably going to be. Now, if you don't have much background knowledge and you don't know much about Groundhog Day, then yeah, maybe you're really just trying to guess at it. She thought that she could look for her own paw or her own tail or her own bone because you really don't know much about Groundhog Day. But that's what inferring is all about. You take your background knowledge and what you do know and put it together with what you're reading, and maybe you can figure out what it means, what it's about. It says, according to legend, the groundhog does not see its flippity-flap, then spring is coming soon. However, if it does see its flippity-flap, they use it a lot. So flippity-flap is one of our words. Shaloped is another one. Grayling, yippity-yapped, and padoodle. You're going to find that there's a page now that you have to try to fill in some substitute words. It says to use your context clues and background knowledge to write what you think the 5 bold words in the story might mean. Write a word that you could put in place of that bold word in the story so that it makes sense. So here's where you can put your guesses, your inferences. I think flippity-flap means this, or I think shaloped equals that. I think a grayling is a this. I think yippity-yapped is that. And I think padoodle means this. Just make inferences based on what you can figure out from the clues in the story and the context. We know that we might be wrong, and that's okay. Whenever you make inference, you might make the wrong inference. But then as you read on some more, all of a sudden, oh, I think I got it. I use some different context clues and I use more of my background knowledge, and now I can infer what that word means. All right. Well, good luck, fourth graders. We'll see you again tomorrow.